Let's go through some of the tasks that are highlighted in Chapter 3. This first video, we'll start off with Section 3.1, the formulas and functions, and then there'll be additional videos that will follow on for relative versus absolute referencing, the if function, conditional formatting, and then a final video on the advanced topic of the lookup. So again, this video is going to be for section 3.1, the formulas and functions. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet that you need to download, ch3-data.xls. The first thing that the text, what I'm going to do is go quickly through the text material so that you can see what you're attempting to do, so that when you go in and actually practice, you'll at least have an understanding of where you're headed as you go through the different steps. So the first thing the text asks you to do is put in a function down in cell B25. Remember that functions always start with an equal sign, and then you're going to put in your function name. So in this case, we're going to do the max function. And what that max function does, it gives us a little help here that says it returns the largest value in a set of numbers. So we want to take the max value, open paren. That allows us to select the range in which we want to take the maximum value. So let's use ranges of B5 through B24. And what the software is going to do then is look through all of those numbers and return the maximum value that it sees among all of those numbers. So we have 10. Right? And so the max function was presented in Chapter 2. Again, this is a refresh from Chapter 2. Then we're going to copy that cell into the following cells, C25 through N25. So there are different ways to copy. You can do a right-click move. So you may notice that I tend to use my right-click mouse. Right-click, copy, and then you can paste, or you can use from the ribbon, or you can use that handy tip that was highlighted in Chapter 2, the autofill, and take your cursor. You see how your cursor is a big fat plus sign? Go and hover over that little corner in the lower right-hand corner of the active cell. Your cursor will change to a little plus sign. Drag that little plus sign across the rows, across the columns, and it will take that formula, which is sitting here as B5 through B24, and when you copy, that new formula in column C will be C5 through C24. In column D, it would be column D25 through D24, and so on. So that's terrific to remember that quick help. There's a new topic that's highlighted, and I have to say it was my wow moment for today. That is relatively new. I believe it may be new to Excel 2016. But let's take a look at this spreadsheet. We want to go into cell column O, row 5, so cell O5, and we want to add up all of these numbers in this row. So we can do that by using the AutoSum command. That's something that you learned in Chapter 1. Really fast move, terrific to do, right? And you can then use your Chapter 2, highlight over the lower right-hand corner, get the little plus sign, with your left mouse, drag down through the formulas, through the rows, so that you repeat that formula in those rows. So that was pretty fast. Not too hard to do, but certainly it was an interesting way of doing this, or an easy way of doing this. But let me show you another quick tip that the textbook highlights. And again, it was my I almost fell off my chair when I saw this move. So we're going to highlight all of the data in the cells B5 through N24. And what we want the software to do is figure out information about each of these rows or each of these columns, and I'm going to show you what happens. So when I highlighted all that data, the software is smart enough to know that this is a bunch of data. And in that data, we have this a little tip on the, again, on the lower right-hand corner. If I hover over the icon, it says it's a quick analysis. So I'm going to select that quick analysis, and I can do quite a number of things. So let's go to the totals, and I can do several different activities. When I do this one, look what happened to my lower cells down here. It was a 10. When I hover over that, it's going to change that 10 to 181. So what is that really doing? It's doing the sum of the entire column B5 through B24 automatically for me. And I know it's going in the row right below my data that I highlighted because of this little blue bar that was highlighted in this picture. But I really want that sum to happen in the totals column, column O. So I want to hover over this value, or this little icon right here where it's highlighted in yellow. You can see that's where it's putting that sum function in that column right next to the data that I just selected. So there you go. These are all now sums, just as I did in that two-step move before. So either way, it works. I get to both the same piece. The last little section that I'm going to include here is, which I found to be mildly interesting, useful if you want to know how to do it. But if you select in this cell called, or P4, and in that cell is the percentage, you can go to the Review tab and do this Smart Lookup. And what that does is it kind of launches an online lookup, a mini Google, if you will, right on board. Yeah, and it explains how you do percentages. Well, again, as I said, interesting, but if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't miss it. So again, one of those nice things to know. I can't say that it would be something that I would use consistently. So that ends this video on doing some of the quick formulas that this chapter talks about. The next video will be about relative and absolute referencing, and we'll build out that percentage column, and you'll see how the absolute and relative referencing process works.